two former Meta employees.
Both laid off.
I went from recruiting top engineers at Meta
to building something that actually feels like me.
No safety net, no title, just figuring it out.
And we're done pretending it was easy.
We're Stripped Naked, the podcast for creators, professionals, and entrepreneurs
who are done with the highlight reel.
Raw,
real, rebuilding.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our third podcast recording of Stripped Naked, where we're having real, raw conversations about rebuilding. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is June Colaroso. I am a career strategist and content creator. I have over 10 plus years of experience building teams for some of the world's biggest tech giants, as well as startups. Some fun facts about me is I'm from the Bay Area. I'm a first-gen Filipino-American millennial mom, and I'm also a certified step instructor. Take it away to my co-host.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marissa San Martin. I'm a UGC creator strategist who was formerly at Meta and Samsung. And as the name says it, like now I'm rebuilding something on my own terms. Fun facts about me. I am a New Yorker through and through at heart. I'm based in LA. If you hear some dogs in the background, they live here too. So it's just kind of the norm over here. And yeah, we're just starting to kick it off. I can't believe it's already Tuesday, even though it feels like a Monday.
It's already Tuesday, but definitely feels like a Thursday. But can you believe that this is our third episode?
No, I can't. I was actually looking at everything and I'm like, wait, did we really do 3 episodes?
I know.
And it's like we were saying right before, it's like we still get nervous jumping on, even though we've done even though this is our third episode, we've done trainings and workshops, so we still get nervous. It still happens.
I know, it always happens. No, yeah, I was just kind of taking some time to breathe before we hopped on live. But speaking of like workshops and all of that great jazz, let's talk about last week. I say that because I taught my second workshop last week. Why don't we go ahead and just kind of share, a recap from last week? Do you want to go ahead and start?
No, because this is like where you have to be vulnerable, and you know how I feel about that.
Okay, I will start
but no, it's okay. It's okay. I got it. It's just I hate being vulnerable, but it's part of our branding, Raw, Real, Rebuilding. So last week, I'm not gonna lie, was hard. Like I had a really hard week mentally between showing up and doing what was expected of me and just pushing through and powering it through. And I had to lead a call on Friday at 11 a.m. and I had it all prepared and ready to go, but I just didn't feel it. And I had that conversation with you afterwards. I didn't feel the energy to do it, but that stinking corporate mentality came in. And I was like, no, Marissa, you still have to show up. You still have to show up. And I did. And I felt so drained by the end of the session. And I felt my energy was off. And it was all because I showed up when I knew I shouldn't have had to. Because I did have a team of other coaches that would have stepped up for me the minute I would have said, hey, guys, can I tag out of this? I'm just not up to it. And it all leads back to, that polish, push through, go through with it with corporate. And it was hard. It was hard admitting it to myself, but it was also harder showing up and not feeling that drive behind me when I'm usually presenting, because I love presenting. That is the one thing I love to do. So yeah, it was really heartbreaking, but reassuring that it's like, even with tough times, you can still lean on people that will help you build and not look at it as a weakness, but as a strength to respect that time. But yeah, that's where I was last week.
Well, thank you for being vulnerable and getting out of your comfort zone. But I feel like me and you are just so aligned every week. So last week for me, it was my first week post spring break vacation where me and my family took an 8-day Pacific Northwest road trip with our 2 dogs. I was also just starting my new role as a career coach for Adam Broda's company, Better Work Coaching. So I was carving out time every day to coach our students. So it was definitely a great trip. I was able to disconnect, spend time with family, and also, work in this new role. But then come Monday, before our LinkedIn Live last week, I was burnt out. I felt like I was so behind. I wanted to cancel, right? I wanted to cancel or reschedule because I felt burnt out. I felt like, I need some time to catch up. I want to prioritize that. And then I also started thinking about, it was invited to facilitate a LinkedIn workshop for my friend who is a licensed insurance agent for her company and team, because a lot of her team members, they don't know how to utilize LinkedIn. So she reached out to me like last month and invited me to come to her office to do a workshop. And I was almost going to ask her to reschedule because didn't feel like I was ready. I didn't feel like I was ready. And that day that I facilitated the workshop, I also, this, I spent a few hours in the ER because my son had a little bit of by the way, don't ever sleep with headphones on. But on that note, I didn't want to show up, but I had the corporate mindset. No, I have to show up. I committed this workshop for low. Everyone's counting on me. So I somehow pushed it through. And honestly, I'm glad that I did, because it was one of the best workshops I've ever facilitated. And now going into this week, I have like 4 to 5 calls booked with potential clients. But, let's talk about that as far as how do we, because there's going to be some times, Marissa, where we can't push through, right?
But I shouldn't have last week.
Yeah, you shouldn't have. So what is your takeaways from that?
Essentially like leaning into the community of coaches that I have with UGCMA and being like, hey guys, I'm just not here, because I do show up in every aspect and every day. But sometimes it's okay to be vulnerable and say you're not okay. You're not mentally ready to be there, because I could have shown up fully prepared and ready to deliver, but I showed up at 70%. And even though some people might say that 70% is good, it is, but it's not to the quality of my standard. So to me, it was just like, it felt off. I felt like I wasn't being true and authentic, because I was still trying to show up perfect, and I wasn't. And I felt it. And you know how when you're leading a workshop or a training or anything like that, it starts with the presenter. If the presenter feels off, guess what? The audience is going to feel off. The energy is going to feel off. And I felt that all throughout the call last week. Everybody was very gracious and very kind about it, but I was reminded by one of the coaches, so shout out to Katie. I don't know, Katie, if you're watching, that, you have a team of people here that you can lean on no matter what. And just remember that we are here for you to step in if you need to tag out. And that little reminder just kind of like blew my mind. And I remember sending you a voice note. I'm like, girl, we need to talk about this next week, about that corporate mentality and pushing through, because in corporate, it's looked as a weakness versus you taking care of yourself and taking care of those people who you're trying to support along the way. So I think that's a very meaningful thing that we do need to talk about, because a lot of people feel burnout. You felt it. I felt it. I'm pretty sure hundreds of thousands of people in corporate world have felt it. And it's like, you need to take care of you, because if you can't take care of you, then you can't service and take care of others.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where I'm at.
We're working on our budget, y'all. We're gonna have side effects. So let's talk about that. Like, what are some ways where we don't let burnout overcome us, right? I think, like, for me, what I love about our partnership and friendship is I don't feel like I'm like, and this is like burnout if you are a full-time working professional, burnout if you are an entrepreneur, burnout if you're a mom, burnout if, like, how do you avoid burnout, right? If you are just managing multiple things. I think it would you kind of what kind of helped us last week is we leaned on each other. You leaned on your other coaches and kind of just shared your frustration and just some of like the things that you're going through, right? And like I think what's kind of wild to me is like you talked about like your level of standards of like you presenting. It may be perfect for the outsiders, right? It may be perfect for the students, but for us, it's not. And I kind of felt, and I felt like that too last week when my presentation. Like I felt like when I first started, I was just kind of finding my way of like storytelling, and it was the first time I was really just kind of not looking at my notes. I was just going with the flow, and I got good feedback. But and then I think what you said to your point, like self-care, that's very important. What do you do for self-care for you? Like if you are experiencing burnout and you want to get back into the flow of things?
That's a good question because there's a couple different things. One, I love sitting just in a quiet room and not having anything. I mean, like no phone, no nothing, and just being. And a lot of people feel very uncomfortable when they do that. And I used to feel that too until I lived on my own when I moved 15 years. Oh my God, 15 years ago. I'm aging myself. When I moved alone for the first time 15 years ago and I lived in an apartment, it was so quiet. I was so uncomfortable then. But now it's like, it kind of like resets me. It literally like just levels me out to be like, there's no noise and I could just sit there with my thoughts. And I know it's like, some people might think it's weird, but it's just like, it just calms me down from all the external noise that we're always hearing. Working out, I actually worked out 3 times since last week. I've been pulling it back in there. And then honestly, just like meditating or listening to a podcast, something that I could just not have to be the one thinking. It's just shutting my brains off. And actually everything that I just mentioned is just shutting my brain off just to level set. How about you?
I love that. You said sitting in a quiet place. You said working out and then listening to podcasts.
Either listening to podcasts or just not doing anything. Yeah, just meditating. That's what I said. Meditating.
Yeah. I think for me is obviously I love to work out. My workout of choice is step. I'm also a certified hip hop step instructor. And I started doing step classes during the time Meta had its first rounds of layoffs because I had so much anxiety and I was feeling burnt out because of the turmoil that layoffs, the whole layoff experience puts on you, right? And I needed a workout where I just disconnect from everything. And for me, it's step aerobics. Kind of like think like jazzercise / like dancing. But the reason why I love the workout so much and why I decided to become certified is because it's the one workout that I'm really able to disconnect from life. My life as being a mom, a wife, a career strategist, a coach. And I'm just really there. It's just me and my board and the music and my movement. That was my favorite way to disconnect and fill my cup. Another one for me is journaling. I love to journal. I need to get better at doing that every day. But just journal like gratitude and like kind of just is writing to-do lists a thing of self-care?
Yes, it keeps you organized.
Oh, I gotta say hi to my cousin Trish. She's on the IG. But yes, Trish, we need to catch up. But that and then audiobooks and reading. I haven't had time to read much because I'm building so many things. But I definitely want to get back to reading. I'm part of a book club. But yeah, thank you for
that with you download it as an audiobook when you're coming back home from dropping off the kids in the morning. Just throw it in as an audiobook. Self-care moment right there.
I should listen to the audiobook instead of me calling you after school drop off.
I didn't say that, but maybe 3 times a week you listen to that, and
No,
that
I
can be your
know. I'm
moment.
so behind of these, like, I'm part of a book club. I'm so behind of all the from the books, but yeah, I listen to podcasts. I love true crime podcasts too. So
Oh, we need to connect on that because I am obsessed with
yeah.
those.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm glad that you were like, so how are you feeling? So what are what are your top 3 tips for people out there if you're a creator, a professional, entrepreneur? How do you unlearn, or how do you just overcome the just push through mentality from the corporate world?
How do you unlearn? Well, so I am learning in real time here because I am trying to unwire myself. And essentially, what I did over the weekend and yesterday, I really focused on being intentional with my time blocking and blocking out time that are non-negotiables. Like, it does
Mhm.
not matter who it is or what's going on. Nobody interrupts that time for me. So scheduling that time and knowing that, sending a quick message to saying, hey, I will get to it in 90 minutes when I can, and protecting your space and your peace because you need to refill that. So I love calendar blocking. So calendar blocking and putting in time for yourself. I'm still learning on this, speaking to somebody when you need it and reaching out to unwire that because it's not a weakness, it's reality. We're humans and we're not perfect, and that's how we learn. And a third one, ooh, can you come back to me? How about you to give me
Okay,
two
how
and I
about
can
I'll just I'll take us home. We'll give you 5 tips today.
yeah, you'll take us home. See,
I'll take
tag
us
team.
home. Tag team. Blocking calendar blocks, speaking and like voicing out your vulnerability. Um, ooh.
Oh,
I
partner
think one,
in-
wait, I think one for me is accountability. I mean, that
okay.
could kind of, I'm taking kind of expanding in your second tip of reaching out to people,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of share what you're going through. I think for me, what helps me avoid burnout is like this week, Marissa, what did we start this week? We started doing accountability check. Why are you
Oh
looking at
yeah,
me?
because I was like, okay, guys, real quick, and as we start a lot of different things, so it's like I just need guide as to what we started. But yes, accountability
Let me
check-ins
give
every
you
day.
context. Yeah, I think as for some reason we're like twins. I feel like what did I say the other day? We have what is it called? What
Telepathic.
twins? Telepathic energy. I don't
Yeah.
know. So I'm assuming you could read what I'm thinking. Okay, I'll give you context. So going into this week, because we both felt burnt out last week, but we somehow managed to push this through. What we did going into this week, we did accountability check-ins, right? I told you, Marissa, this is my goals for today. These are my goals before 12 o'clock.
Mhm.
Remember? So, and I feel like let's do a check-in, whether it's a voice note. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm getting a call. I can't talk to you right now. But this is the this is the messy middle, y'all. But I think the accountability check-ins help avoid burnout because you're working towards something tangible that's attainable, right? If you just kind of shortlist your goals to what can I do in the next 2 hours, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to narrow down my list of 10 things to do. I'm going to narrow it down to like the top 2 or 3 for the first half of the day. Like just stagger your goals. That's the third tip. Did I say third tip? That's a third tip. The fourth tip.
Honestly, I'm going to lean in on the fourth tip. It's like also forgiving yourself if you can't attain those goals on there and being okay with it. Because yesterday, and I'll give it, I could not, I was trying to open up a Spotify account to get our podcast in there. And that was my task. And I was like, okay, let's go down through this. I could not get the show art up for the life of me, guys. I could not get it up. And it was just like saving. I went on my phone. I went on this. I spent almost 3 hours troubleshooting because I went into Reddit, Google, like everywhere. I go into customer service. It's a 90-minute wait for somebody to come to me. And they were able to just plug and play in the back end. They're like, go and upload it now. And it took almost 4 hours. And when G's like, what's going on, my girl? I got this done. This is all I got done because of all these pivots. And it's like, you wouldn't know unless I told you. And it's like, I had a list of 4 things and I was like, nope, I'm so proud of it because I figured it out. Because I could have just abandoned it and moved forward. So forgiving yourself if things aren't met because life is messy and things get in the way. We could have never thought it was going to take me 4 hours to get a 4x8 square up, but it happened and we moved forward. So what's the 5th tip and take us home?
You said,
forgiving yourself if you don't meet your goals. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say every Friday, and this is what we can do this Friday, is do a reflection.
Okay.
What went well this week? What were some wins? What were some challenges? Our peaks and pits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at your calendar and look at it and reflect and ask yourself, in what areas of my time blocks did I feel less energized?
Okay.
Right? Do a reflection, and then that way you have a game plan going into the new week, right? If I had 2 hours of blocking on my calendar, time block, 2 hours of time block in my calendar where I'm just reaching out to brands, how effective was I? How many brands did I reach out to, right? Did I spend those 2 hours effectively? If not, okay, what should I do different, right? I think that's a good thing to do is to help you avoid from burnout.
I'd be more than happy to tap that in on Friday because I just started a brand new calendar block that I'm testing for the next 2 weeks and I want to pivot. Like today, I'll be honest, I already know I have to pivot some things because I wasn't as effective. But that's how you learn. And it's like not everything is going to be perfect the first time you look at it. It's never that. You have to adjust to it because you're learning new skills. We're learning new skills. We see that all the time.
Right. And we're kind of like unlearning the corporate way. How are we pushing that? Right? Mm-hmm. We're doing that together and we're doing it in real time. And that's the purpose of this podcast. And on that note, I do want to end that next episode. We're going to be talking about the reason behind our podcast. Our name. Because there's some I'm saying hi to my coworker. My coworker, there has been some controversy. So I didn't know. We worked on I'm so proud of ourselves too, by the way. We have our LinkedIn landing page for our podcast. Mm-hmm. We have our Instagram. We also have working on the Spotify. But I forgot to turn the announcement off when you announce it to the world that you're starting a new role. So on LinkedIn, I've added co-host of the Strip Naked podcast. That announced it to my whole community of like 24,000 people on LinkedIn. And for the most part, people were congratulating me. But I do have a comment that's saying, Strip Naked, I'm kind of offensive about that name. And then I called Marissa and I said, Marissa, how do I respond to this? What did you say? And just on that note.
What I said is like, we need to let them think about what it really means because there's a stereotype around it and we want to be bold and we want to be put out there and this is going to be catchy and bring people in. So lead with that confidence when I first told you the name. Because when I first told you the name, you were like, oh, I get it.
I get it.
That is what we need to do. So yes, next week, we're going to talk about the meaning behind the name and why. And if you guys have any, questions, comments, concerns about it, we're more than open to discuss it. But we are very, very passionate about it. So yeah, but I can't wait for next week because it's going to be juicy.
It's going to be juicy, y'all. So maybe next week we'll have our stuff together and we'll have our podcast page up so you can subscribe. But this is a soft podcast lunch. We're going to go official live in June. June is going to be epic because we're going to be meeting in person for the first time.
Oh my God, we haven't
Which
met
is going
yet.
to be, I know. And I talk to this woman a couple of times a day. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye, IG.